Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Madeline from KnittingHouseSquare and today I have the start of a very exciting series for you. So this is a series I've been wanting to create for a while and it's a Learn to Knit series. So if you've been wanting to knit or if you know someone else has been wanting to knit, you're in the right place. What I'm going to be taking you through is all the steps you need to create basic stitch patterns in knitting. And the idea is that you're going to piece each one of these different stitch patterns together to create a simple scarf. So the different videos I'm going to be taking you through are, here's a sample I'm going to use. We're going to start with a cast on and a backward loop cast on. Then we're going to learn the knit stitch and we're going to use that knit stitch to create this first square here, which is called a garter stitch. Then next up, once we finish our first block, we're going to switch and learn the purl stitch. So once you start alternating between knitting and purling, you can create a stitch pattern called stockinette. Then up here at the top, we become a bit more advanced. So here, we're going to be learning ribbing. This is a really useful stitch technique. Creates a really nice stretchy fabric. And then lastly, one of my favorite stitch patterns is seed stitch. So that'll be the last one we try. And each one of these is going to be a separate video tutorial. So we're going to start with the cast on and knitting. Then in the next video, I'm going to start introducing purling. Then next we'll work on ribbing, then seed stitch. And then lastly, I'll show you how I cast off and weave in all my ends. Now how this is going to work is today I'm publishing just this introductory video where I'm taking you through an overview of the videos that are going to be posted, as well as all the materials you need. Then each day next week, one of those tutorials is going to be posted along with some bonus videos. So the bonus videos include things like how to switch your yarn color if you're interested in just for your scarf, creating each block being a different color. I'm going to have videos on how I hold my yarn and wrap my yarn around my fingers to knit or purl. I'm going to have one on how you switch balls of yarn. So if you run out of a ball of yarn and need to rejoin in a new one, how do you do that? And all of those just little special techniques that you can use along the way. I hope you're just as excited as I am, and that if you know anyone who would be interested in this class, be sure to share this video down below. I'll have an image up here on the screen of how you can share this class with others. If you're enjoying the video series, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That way you're updated each time I post a new class in this series. You're going to know a class is in this series if it has the little knitting needles and symbol in the bottom of the thumbnail image. That's one of the ones that'll be in the series. And there'll also be a full playlist of videos available. So first up, let's talk about the sizes before we get to the materials. So I'm going to be knitting the youth size in this video series, just because it's a little bit smaller and more manageable, especially if this is your first project. So this scarf right here actually would be the youth size. So it's about 5 inches wide and about 50 inches long. And you can tell as an adult, it does fit me as well. The adult size, I'll put up on the screen anytime you need to do something different for that. It's just going to be a little bit wider and a little bit longer. Next up, in terms of the materials, I'm going to be going through all the materials and the yards, the size knitting needles, everything like that in just a minute. I just wanted to mention that in this video, it's not sponsored or anything like that, but I did get all my materials at the Dollar Tree just because I figured that'd be a great place for anyone who's looking to start knitting to get their materials. Very affordable. I used about 3 balls of yarn to knit the kid size, and for the adult size, you need 4 balls of these yarn. And then lastly, my knitting needles were also from the Dollar Tree. First, starting off with the yarn, as I mentioned in the intro, I'm using yarn from the Dollar Tree for this project. So if you're knitting the youth size, you need about 3 of these balls of yarn. So it ends up being about 270 yards of yarn that you need for the kid size. For the adult size, you need just under 400 yards. So you end up needing 4 of these balls of yarn instead. And if you're trying to buy yarn other places, you just want to look for this medium symbol. So it says medium, and then underneath there's a 4. That's what you're looking for. That's the weight of yarn we're using for this project. And then the next thing you want to look at is the knitting needle size that the yarn recommends. So this one You want to look where the knitting needles are. So there's knitting needles and then there's a crochet hook. You want the knitting needle one. And it says you need a 5mm or a US 8. Those are actually saying the same thing, just different units. So we're going to be using the exact knitting needle size that this yarn recommends, this US 8. If you do want to knit your scarf out of multiple colors too, just buy a few different colors, a variety. So here's a few that I have. And these were all just different samples of yarn I got from the Dollar Tree. They have so many colors available. It's pretty fun. Next up are my knitting needles. These I also got at the Dollar Tree. So in my Dollar Tree, they're like across the aisle from where the yarn is. And you want to get the size that the yarn recommends. So as I mentioned, this one said a US 8. It'll say on the package, and it also says on the end of these knitting needles. So this says US 8 or 5mm. It'll be hard to read. A lot of times too, it can also be printed on the side of the knitting needle. And you do want straight knitting needles. You don't want circular knitting needles for this project. Next up, just need a pair of scissors. And then lastly, the only item I couldn't find at the Dollar Tree was you need a tapestry needle to weave in your ends. So I'll link some affordable tapestry needles down in the description box below. I'll also link some Amazon alternatives to all these different items. That way, if you don't have access to a Dollar Tree, you can find any yarn or knitting needles linked down below. Now, what I really enjoy about this tutorial series is that, especially if you are a newer knitter, you get to learn a lot of different stitch patterns. So instead of just knitting an entire scarf and repeating the same step over and over again, what you get to do is you learn 4 base blocks. So we have the garter, stockinette, ribbing, and seed. And once you learn those, you can keep on repeating them in any order you'd like. You can also switch up colors in between your blocks to make this a really fun and exciting first knitting project for you. Also, if you aren't interested in knitting the scarf project, you can just learn one of the stitches along with me in just that specific video. I hope you're just as excited as I am. I will see you back here at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to work on that cast on and the first square, learning the knit stitch.